Hello, welcome on board the slow boat to Melbourne in a totally maelstrom sea. Oh, this was a tough night last night. It's so hard to gain perspective on these waves, but they are huge and short and breaking, and in the middle of the night it did get up to 45. Whoa, that's a really big one. It did get up to 45 knots, I'd say, in the middle of the night. I was up quite a lot. The waves were huge. I got bounced out of my bed twice and thrown across the cabin and ended up back on the beanbag. But everything's fine. The mast is still up. We're still going in the right direction, and we made really good progress. And guess what? I can see Australia. That's Australia. Look at that. How cool is that? Oh, it's amazing. There's not a huge amount I can do while the sea state is this violent. It's just too difficult to do anything. And the boat's in good shape. The wind is slowly coming down, and eventually the sea state will as well. So in a couple of hours, when I make that jibe, I'll be heading down inside Cape Otway, and then it should be a lot flatter and I can make preparations. Just before I go on, I wanted to say that I heard the news overnight that 2 sailors lost their lives in the Sydney Hobart race, which is going on just to the east of me now. And I just wanted to send my really heartfelt thoughts to their families, their crews, their friends, and everyone else in the race, because to lose 2 sailors like that is a massive tragedy to the whole sailing community, and my thoughts are with you. Thank you all for your comments and questions and support. I've kind of been through a couple of them. First of all, good spot on the dolphin. Didn't know it was there. They're everywhere. And in answer to a couple of questions about people coming out to meet me, yes, I do have a support boat coming to meet me. So when I first dismasted, we were put in contact with the Ocean Racing Club of Victoria, and a man called Simon Dryden, who is currently on the Melbourne Hobart race, got to work putting together a team of people who would make my arrival as easy as possible. And so tomorrow I'm going to be met by a powerboat that's coming out with a crew on board. They're going to escort me through the heads at Port Phillip, through the rip there, which can be really difficult navigation with incredibly strong currents. And then they're going to escort me across the bay. They've organised a berth for me in the City Marina, Melbourne, and I couldn't have been better looked after. And yeah, these people are absolute legends. They don't know me from Adam, and they're giving up their time to come out and meet me. And yeah, I'm super grateful. A couple of you are asking where I'm going to. So I'm going to the City Marina in Melbourne, and I think I'll be arriving there around 9 a.m. on the 29th. Looking at my position now, this is Cape Otway here, and my waypoint there is the Port Phillip Heads. Melbourne itself is actually up at this end of the harbour, and I have 64 miles to run to the Port Phillip Heads, and then it's about another 50 miles into Melbourne. Since I dismasted, I have travelled 723 miles. Let's have a little look at the weather. You can see we're in a patch of bigger breeze here, 25 knots from the west, and over the next few hours it's going to slowly drop, but not a huge amount. But you can see that once you get inside the shelter of this coast here, the wind is quite a lot less, and I'm hoping the sea state is less. So in a moment I'm going to jibe on ahead in towards this coast, and then I'll just gently make my way down the coast overnight to meet the crew and the support boat outside the Port Phillip Heads tomorrow. And there we need to wait for the right tidal conditions to go through, which will be sometime tomorrow afternoon. It's time for what could be the last slow boat jibe. Just heard word that my support boat, Little Miss Magic, has left the dock in Melbourne and are on their way out. They think it's going to take them about 5 hours to get out to me. So yeah, in 5 hours time, I'm going to see people. It's all a little bit strange. I don't need to make too much speed at the moment because we're going to have to wait outside the Port Phillip Heads for the tide anyway. So I'm hesitating to put the trysail up. But what I will do is I've got an emergency VHF antenna, which I'm going to dig out and see if I can find a way of getting that through the deck to my AIS, and then at least tape it as high up as I can reach on the outrigger, just so that as I'm coming more towards the coast and there's a bit more traffic, people have got better visibility of me, and I can perhaps see them a bit more as well. Here we go. There's an AIS map of Australia. Zoom in to Melbourne. There we go, Little Miss Magic. 9 knots, 4 minutes ago. So that puts them about 40 miles away from me, on their way. My support boat, Little Miss Magic, have just texted and said they're about 20 miles away. So they'll be with me in about 2 hours. I can start to see colours on the coast behind me now. But you can probably see the sea state is still really big. Whoa, that's big. Yeah, it's just a case of kind of I'm going to cruise in company with them till we get into sheltered waters. And then maybe when it's a bit more sheltered, they might be able to put somebody on board. Now, normally, when you're arriving in Australia, you're not allowed to have people on board or get off. Until you've completed biosecurity. We've had a special dispensation to have one crew member on with me just for safety reasons, just so we can have a stand watches properly and to help me when I'm berthing. But obviously we're not going to do a transfer in these conditions, so they'll just kind of be in company with me. So my slow boat journey is coming to an end. We'll have another day tomorrow when I go through the heads and across the bay in Melbourne, which I'll share with you. But it's the end of a proper journey. I didn't expect to find myself in this position. Really hoped I wouldn't be in this position. But it's one of the things that can happen when we take part in the sport that we do. And when something like that happens, the only way out of it is to stand up, sort yourself out, and make your situation better every day. And I think that's what I've really tried to do. In the last 2 weeks, I guess I've had a good opportunity to kind of really process how I feel, and the devastation of not making it round the world this time, of not being able to release that potential I really felt I had for this race, of not knowing where I would have ended up. That's always going to be a thing. That's never going to leave me. But it doesn't feel so raw anymore. And I think I've managed to kind of reconcile things on my 2-week slow boat journey. The really important thing, I guess, is just being able to think about what the future holds. And when I initially dismasted, it just felt so big. I started my Vendée campaign in 2019, well, November 2018. I had a £25,000 bank loan. I was chartering the most knackered 20-year-old Imoca that was just in pieces when I got it. I had no team. I'd never sailed in Imoca before. And it seemed like, a crazy thing to think that I could qualify for the Vendée Globe in 2 years and race against teams that were funded to the tune of 2 or 3 million euros a year. But I wanted to make it happen. I needed to make it happen, and I knew no one else was going to make it happen for me. So I decided that every single day I would do something to make my situation better. And I worked and worked, and eventually people joined me, volunteers joined me, people donated to the crowd fund, small sponsors joined. Medallia joined as title sponsor, and then we were on the start line for the 2020 Vendée Globe race. And that race was phenomenal, and it just opened the door for me to move on, to create a professional team in the UK and to end up with a high performance entry to the 2024 race. Dismasting when I did, it felt like I fell all the way down that hill, the hill that I've spent 6 years climbing. It felt like I'd lost absolutely everything, and I would have to start again from the beginning to even think about racing this boat again. And it's not going to be easy, I know that. It's not going to be easy. We've got a lot of challenges over the next few months if we want to get back racing again. And I've got a lot of challenges to be on the start line of the 2028 Vendée Globe. But one thing I know from having spent this time with myself and with you guys in the last 2 weeks is that I'm not ready to give up. I am not ready. We've created such an incredible team in the UK. We've demonstrated that we have performance potential. We have grafted so hard to put ourselves among the top 10 teams in Europe. And I'm not ready to let that go. And I'm not ready to let an external event end this story for any of us. So in the next couple of days, we're going to share with you what our plan for the future looks like. I just know that I belong out here. I have so much more to give. I've got so much more to learn. Whatever the next 4 years throw at me, I'll take it and I'll do the best that I possibly can with it. If you want to know more about my 2020 Vendée Globe campaign and the race, for example, did you know in the 2020 Vendée Globe race, I broke a rudder in the middle of the Pacific, 10 days out from Cape Horn, and I had to change a rudder between gales in the Pacific. If you're new to this channel, you're new to following my racing, and you want to find out more about that, then you can check out all the rest of the videos on our YouTube channel. But also, I had a book published in October about the 2020 race and the tools and techniques I used for getting myself around the world, managing my motivation and my mental health and my positivity. And that book's called In My Element, and you can find it by following the link below. I'm looking forward to meeting my shore team. I'm looking forward to getting ashore and starting the next leg of our journey, seeing where it ends up. Slow boat's not over yet. We've got a day to go, but I just want to say thank you all for your incredible support and kind words. And actually sharing this with you has been so good for me. So thank you.